Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
My anus is bleeding.
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta male.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you, don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Jewish space lasers.
USA. USA. USA.
Stupid.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. We got a good show. Yes, we've had the normal parade of ghouls and goblins from the right wing. Of course. However, we also have a Florida sheriff that is getting real tired of Nazis. Well, thank goodness. Because we are all tired of Nazis. The only people that are not tired of Nazis, and to be fair, neo-Nazis, the only people that are not tired of them are neo-Nazis. But anyway, we have that amazing video here of a Florida sheriff just going nuclear. I love it. We have that. Of course, we have Donald Trump raging about the Fox, the defamation suit launched against Fox News by Dominion that we've, of course, seen some interesting revelations that we already knew. That Fox News, of course, was lying. Yay! But, Donald Trump, not happy with certain parts of Rupert Murdoch's admissions. Part of his testimony. In a sworn deposition. So we'll get into the details of all of that fun. We have CPAC news, of course. And then Florida Republicans are doing the ultimate cancel culture. They're literally trying to ban the Democratic Party. I'm not kidding. The details are wacky. That's what we do here. We do wacky. So we do wacky ghouls and goblins. And yes, they are also terrible, terrible people, but we already knew that. Yes! Okay, with that said, why don't we get into it? All right. We're going to start out with Trump versus Murdoch. Fun. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't already, please like and share the stream. Helps us out greatly. All right, with that, now let's do it. Former President Donald Trump is furious with Rupert Murdoch. That's, of course, the head of Fox News. And after he admitted that he had knew that the election was not stolen. So, and that his news network also should have, but did not, denounce Trump's election lie narrative sooner. So we'll get to that, of course. Now, Murdoch, in a deposition that was unsealed on Monday by the lawyers from Dominion Voting Systems, admitted that while he had the opportunity to stop former President Trump's legal team from peddling election fraud lies in his network, he decided not to take it. Lawyers for Dominion were told by Murdoch when they asked the question if, hey, look, could you have kept Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani off your network? Well, I mean, because they're saying absolutely insane things, like the election was stolen by the ghost of Hugo Chavez.
In Venezuela.
Total insanity. Okay? And so they asked him, well, okay, well, if you knew these things were lies, which we covered text messages between different Fox News hosts and producers and other executives that are like, this is crazy stuff. We know that it's not true. Why are you going and saying these things? Well, Murdoch was like, oh, well, we decided not to because it was better that we got some ratings. So now Murdoch conceded that several of his network stars endorsed the false honor narrative about the election being stolen from Trump due to the alleged corrupt voting machines, Dominion, and also Smartmatic, but that's they had their own lawsuit pending. And so, these, again, right-wingers, Donald Trump, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, we're just coming up with insane things. Just total fabrications. Oh, yeah, no, it was the Venezuela, these voting machines, they were tampered with. The same ones that got Hugo Chavez elected, and so that's why Joe Biden didn't actually win the election. That's why Donald Trump actually won. He's a real president, you see. No. And of course, a lot of these different Fox hosts are like, no, that's not true. And by the way, when Fox News made their decision, when their decision desk had called the race for Biden, in some of those messages, text messages, Tucker Carlson was like, they're going to blow our credibility. How dare they come up and actually say the truth? It's going to destroy our credibility. Our stock is going to tumble. So understand, that's what they were worried about. That's what Tucker Carlson was worried about. His credibility from lying to his audience the whole time. And of course, there's a reason they do that. But look, Murdoch, getting back to him, he said in the deposition that he had wished, in hindsight, very important, that he would have been stronger, his network would have been stronger in denouncing the lies. As I said, the reason here that they didn't is, again, because they wanted the viewership. They wanted to continue to make money. And they wanted to be in Trump's good graces, which at the time meant keeping around that Trump base to watch their television shows. And so, yes, they want to make money, like any giant corporation, even giant media corporation, let's be real. And they figured out our audience is suckers. They'll believe anything that we tell them. And by the way, they really are invested in this Trump guy, and so are we. And so what are we going to do? Well, obviously, we're going to lie to our audience. That's it. I mean, we've gotten away with it forever. Look, Fox News has been lying to their audience since their inception. Remember, it was designed, the sole purpose was to boost the Republican Party. And of course, the reason they wanted to boost the Republican Party is so that they would deregulate the industry, all industries, including telecommunications, of course, leading to mergers and acquisitions, etc. That's why we have 6 media corporations now that basically give us 99% of our information, disastrous. And then also, of course, to lower taxes for rich people. Like Rupert Murdoch. And so, look, that's the reality, right? Now, of course, what makes this different, the election lie different than the usual lies, okay? First of all, you had January 6th. I mean, that's a significant difference, right? Because people took those lies and specifically went into action to try to invade the Capitol building. Now, look, Fox News, of course, has been involved with, their lies have been involved with acts of violence across, history. I mean, look, everybody can probably remember Bill O'Reilly And Dr. George Tiller was an abortion doctor. He kept saying in his program, Dr. Tiller the baby killer. Dr. Tiller the baby killer. He's killing babies. He's murdering babies. Somebody's got to do something to save the babies. And so guess what? Somebody did. And George Tiller was murdered. And so look, that's just one example of the toxicity of Fox News and how their lies and how their, you could call it incitement. I would certainly call that incitement, has been used to, rally conservatives to sometimes do terrible things. But most of the time, the thing that Fox News has been looking for is, I just vote for Republican candidates so they can lower my taxes and deregulate. And then all that side culture war issue, that's the stuff that people tune into. And so that's what they cover mostly. Because if they covered what, the real Republican agenda is, give tax cuts to the rich, that's actually deeply unpopular for anyone who's not rich. So now, that said, getting back to the point of what makes this different, right, is they also got sued by Dominion, who may have a pretty good case. Maybe. Again, defamation is a very high bar to prove because, again, you have to prove that they knew the truth and were acting with malice. And again, that's got to be proven in a court of law. I can look at that and be like, oh, yeah, of course they knew. And yes, it seems malicious in a way that it's like, we're just basically trying to blame, Dominion for the loss of Trump in order to keep the audience, because that's the chuds want. The chuds want to hear it. And we'll get to that in a minute, okay? But that said, let's go to Trump's response. I know it took me a while to get here, but we're here now, okay? Here's what he said on his platform, and you know it's coming.
Truth essential.
Why is Rupert Murdoch throwing his anchors under the table? Isn't that supposed to be under the bus? I mean, under the table, no, that's not, okay, look, that bugged me, and I'm not sure why, but it's under the bus. Get your colloquialisms right. Jesus. Okay, but anyway, he said, why is Rupert Murdoch throwing his anchors under the table, which also happens to be killing his case and infuriating his viewers, who will again be leaving in droves. They already are. Now, look, right there, that, to me, shows you how much he understands the reality at play. I rag on Donald Trump for being a moron. But really, this entire election fraud nonsense narrative, it's due to partly to his ego, but also the fact that he's been using this to con his followers and to stuff their money into his pockets. This has been one giant con. So now, that said, Fox viewers, it also shows you Fox viewers really do like being lied to. Tell me lies. Tell me sweet little lies about how Donald Trump did not lose, how he's still the real president. Look, these people know it's not true. MAGA guy, you know it's not true. You know he didn't win the election. You know he lost. But see, it brings them comfort to hear it. These are comfortable little lies. It's not that they don't, okay. This is important to remember because nearly 2/3 of Republicans that were polled, and there's numerous polls, it goes from even from 60 to 70%. So I would say around 2/3 don't believe that Biden is a legitimate president, that he stole the election. It's not that they don't just like Biden. Look, if you don't like Biden, I don't care. I don't really care. There's some aspects about him that I'm not in favor of. Okay? And by the way, that's some of his record, and I don't think he's lefty enough on policy. But again, he never really casts himself as a leftist. So anyway, that said, we're not gonna get further into that. But look, they literally believe that Biden stole the election with the help of Dominion, Smartmatic, and the ghost of Hugo Chavez, or whatever. I mean, it could be anything, right?
It's the devil, okay?
It could be the devil. It could be
Jewish space lasers.
We don't know. It could be anything for them. Any new conspiracy they come up with next week. They just want to hear that no, you were right all along, guys. You're right. Biden didn't win. The country's with you. The country's actually conservative. When it's really not. It just isn't. Again, you had Trump, you had Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, right-wing blogs. They all catered to this stuff. A lot of them. And there, of course, there's some that pushed back, right? Or were like, oh, I don't know. There needs to be, they kind of were in the middle, tried to play neutral, even though, again, they knew what the facts were. This media reality helped people to reject reality. Look, this is not a difference of opinion. Okay, this is what we're arguing here is whether or not the sky is green versus blue, right? It's objectively, in reality, blue. Again, depending on the time of day. But anyway, oh, is there clouds in the skies? Is it dawn or dark? No, we're not talking about that, okay? I know, talking about bogging people down with ridiculousness. But anyway, what I'm saying is, my point is you have people out there arguing against objective reality. And so, look, when you're arguing against objective reality, you want to find media that will reinforce your own worldview and tell you that you're right. You're right. No, you're the ones that are right. Everyone else is the moron. It's the Principal Skinner meme. No, what if everyone else said is wrong? So, look, they get their cognitive dissonance, right? Because of all the experts, the media, election officials, that are all saying, like, look, no, actually, the reality is your guy lost, and that sucks for you, but that he legitimately lost. And they're like, no, I can't handle this. So they turn to the conspiracy theories in order to get the confirmation bias. They don't like the truth. They just don't like the truth. Simple as that. Speaking of not liking the truth and turning to conspiracy theories, Trump posted this along with his missive, quote, "There's massive evidence of voter fraud and irregularities in the 2020 presidential election." His evidence is 2,000 mules. That's former convicted felon, Dinesh D'Souza, who made that film, which again is not evidence. It's just feelings. So many feelings. And let me tell you, right, what I understand about right-wingers right now. They do feel like they live in a different world. They feel like the country's been stolen from them. They feel like they've been replaced or they're being replaced. They feel like the world no longer makes sense. And it's because of, again, you have these social changes, but you also have nonstop conservative fear-mongering media that will reinforce this point to them. And, of course, there are some that cannot be openly racist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, like the good old days, because someone will call them out on Twitter or ban them from social media. Facebook used to be Twitter until Elon Musk took over. And so, look, they're confused, angry, afraid. And again, a lot of it's thanks to right-wing media and the fact that they just cannot accept that there is change that does happen in this country on a social level and political level. And so, what they did is that they went along with people like Trump, who, again, take advantage. He's a natural con man, and he himself also doesn't like the changing world. And so they all turned to him and Fox News to reinforce their same point of view. And now, unfortunately for them, there's a good chance that it's falling apart. It's all going to fall apart. Now, Trump knows, by the way, again, that this is his scam. And that is to raise money off the dupes who believe his lies. Now he's mad that, like, oh, no. That could be hurt if Dominion ends up winning this defamation lawsuit And one of the terms and conditions that Dominion is searching for is for Fox News and their personalities to come out and say, we were wrong, we lied about Dominion, and we apologize. And that's going to be played to their viewers. So, and by the way, again, part of that apology is Fox admitting we lied to you as well. We knew the truth. We knew that Biden actually had won the election, and we still allowed for these people to come onto our program, onto our platform, without any pushback, and or very little pushback, and spread these conspiracy theories and lie to you, the viewer. They're going to have to admit that. Again, if everything goes the way that Dominion wants it to go, and look, there's no guarantee of that, to be fair. So, look, it is interesting to see if that happens. And if it does, Trump's reaction to it, which will be unhinged, to say the least. Should be fun.
Can't let that happen.
Okay. Anyway. Let's move on. Oh, that went a little longer than I thought, but god damn, it was such a good segment. It's a fun story to do. Let's go from fun to Marjorie Greene, which some of you would argue, not fun. But wait. This could be good. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is claiming that she was attacked while eating out on Monday. So let me show you her tweet. Take a look. I was attacked in a restaurant tonight by an insane woman and screamed at by her adult son. They had no respect for the restaurant or the staff or the other people dining or people like me who simply have different political views. Ah, yes. Yes, the famous slightly different political views. Anyway, they are self-righteous, insane, and completely out of control. She then goes on to explain how she was just sitting at her table, working with her staff, and never even noticed these people until they turned into what? Yes, they turned into demons.
It's the devil, okay?
Oh my God. No, seriously though. Demons.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Oh, jeez. And she says, people used to respect others, even if they had different views, but not anymore. Our country is gone. Gone. Where did it go? Where did it go? I don't know where it went. Did it go to
in Venezuela?
We don't know. We don't, at least Marjorie doesn't know. All right. So, look, first off, let me go to a serious point and then we'll have more fun. When she says she's attacked, let me just note that it's not anything physical. Okay. Now, look, if there was something that was physical that had allegedly happened, then yeah, of course we would condemn that. Everybody on the left condemns that. We don't believe in physical violence. Okay. Against our, political opponents. Secondly, I love how she pretends to care about the staff. Does she? Does she really? I just have a hard time buying that her main concern was, I can't believe that they would treat the staff like that. The other people dining at the restaurant, I care so much about average working people. No, you don't. No. And that, her the whole problem is she just has simply different views in politics, and that's why the woke mob, they're attacking me. Okay, so now, here's the thing. Marjorie Greene has gone on the record of wanting a national divorce, i.e. the United States to break up. Also called, treason, secession, whatever you want to call it. She's also called for, of course, total ban on immigrants, building the wall. She's gone after gay and transgender Americans and wants to basically erase them from society. She does not want trans people to exist. That's what she said. Oh, there's only two genders. Can't be trans. Doesn't exist, she says. And not only that, but of course have the government tell women what to do with their bodies, to use the power of big government to police your womb, if you have one. Yeah. So, now, look, the overall point that I'm trying to make here is she doesn't just have a different view on politics. We're not talking about tax policy here. We're not talking about, well, I guess maybe we are talking about the size of government, but not in a way that she would want to. No, what she wants to designate who has civil rights and who does not. Who is considered to be a first or second class citizen. And she wants to do so based on her, personal or religious beliefs, personal and religious beliefs. Now, where I come from, America, civil rights are not for debate. At least that's the country I want to live in. Okay? Again, on the side of government, and this is not, this is part of a discussion on that. She wants to grow it in order to just run your life. Small government conservatives. Not really small government if the government is like literally telling you, what you can wear, who you can be with, what you can do with your own body. Just saying. Now, she then claims that people used to respect people with different views. I remember that a little bit differently than Marjorie Greene. Look, they go back and give you examples here from the past where you have, I would say every decade or so, you have a right-wing moral panic in this country. Okay? Look, conservatives were against things like granting civil rights for Black Americans. We're against integrated schools, same-sex marriage, of course, moral panic. Marriage, as I said, same-sex marriage, rock and rap music, constantly going after the types of media people consume, video games. Now they're onto drag shows, where they were onto Dungeons and Dragons. The list goes on and on and on. And look, what Greene has said is that she has proposed banning Democrats who moved to red states from voting in those elections for 5 years. That's just some of the stuff that conservatives like Marjorie Greene, these moral panics, of which they go on, of course, to attack people who do those things, to marginalize them for, again, doing things that don't affect them at all. Okay? No, look, people like Greene attack people who just want to live their own lives. And that's the problem, right? Look, there's no gay or trans agenda. It's just to live their lives without getting beaten up or murdered for doing things that really don't hurt anyone. How's a trans person existing, or a person putting on, makeup and doing drag, or doing a drag performance, how's that hurting Marjorie Greene? It's not. It's no different than, like, I would say a clown putting on makeup. In fact, some of those drag bands would also ban clowns. Again, this is just insanity, right? So that said, let's get to the possibility here that this is not real. This didn't actually happen. Again, I don't know for sure. All I'm saying is that in her post, it was pointed out that she has no receipts. She did not post any video of the incident. Okay, fair enough. Like, nobody, has a video camera everywhere. But it seems like Marjorie Greene would be the type to film these kinds of things, as she's knows how to operate a camera phone, and she's posted herself, and doing plenty of things. There was no name of the restaurant or location, but okay, to be fair, maybe you don't want to give up where you eat as to not invite more harassment. Okay. She also didn't offer any details of what the people who, allegedly attacker had told her, okay, all right, sure. Look, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but from where I stand, I don't see any evidence where it did. And I just don't think it's a good idea to take people who consistently lie about things, many things, at face value. I can't. So now, that said, let's get to the final irony here. Okay? And this kind of shows you as well how Marjorie Greene, pretty famous for recording things. Even though right now you could see that she gets very mad at people that are interrupting her and yelling or shouting at her while she's out in the world. I wonder who would do such a thing.
Why are you supporting red flag gun laws that attack our Second Amendment rights? And why are you using kids to get as a barrier? And you are using your lobby and the money behind it and the kids to try to take away my Second Amendment rights. You don't have anything to say for yourself? And how did you get kids? Why do you use kids?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I'm an American citizen. I pay your salary through the taxes that you collect from me through the IRS because I'm a tax-paying citizen of the United States. I'm a woman, I'm a female business owner, and I do not support your socialist policies, and I do not support your murderous abortion policies.
Oh, right. That kind of person. Yeah.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
You preach. Preach, girl. Preach.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
Okay. All right. Moving on. So let's go to Sheriff versus Nazis. Oh, I like that. Hell yes. Hell yes.
Go for it. You came to the wrong county. I stand with my Jewish friends, and I'm honored to be on your hit list. It's an honor to be sought after by a bunch of punk thugs like you.
That was Florida Sheriff Mike Chitwood sending a message to neo-Nazis. You are not welcome. Awesome. So look, this is a response to a group that had been, showing up in Florida, around Florida, filming themselves, putting up signs, passing up anti-Semitic flyers and messages all over the Daytona Beach area. So now last week, an organization known as the GDL, or Goyim Defense League, because of course, right, had been leaving flyers on people's doors, hanging anti-Jewish banners from bridges, harassing people in the street, as well as projecting slogans praising Hitler on the side of the Daytona 500 track. That's pretty horrible stuff. Okay. Massively hateful, massively anti-Semitic. And so Chitwood says, look, I understand that there's free speech involved, but I think it goes beyond free speech. Now, before I get to that, first, I want to show you the rest of his press conference.
This is a neo-Nazi ideology on display. They wear GoPro cameras. They rent U-Haul trucks. They spent the time traveling up and down ISB during the 500, yelling obscenities from the back of the truck. Clearly, I don't see anything that this people can say this is First Amendment. This is nothing but pure evil. And I want to share this. There's a lot of people in this room, and there's a lot of people around this country of the Jewish faith who are on their hit list. They try to besmirch your character. They try to put death threats out on you and threaten you and your family. Well, I wear that as a badge of honor because I, too, by these clown group, want to shut my big mouth and put a bullet in the back of my head. Go for it. That's my message to you. Go for it. You want to try to get into my computer and plant child porn in there with a group of people that have an IQ of a 12? Go for it. I challenge you, go for it. You want to put surveillance on me 24 hours? Go for it. And the best of all, you're going to dox me and make me unelectable? Go for it.
Damn. All right. So look, obviously, if you're doing stalking, making threats and stuff, not exactly, following the law there. Okay. Look, speaking of criminal activity and some of the stuff that this group had been involved in, GDL members, some of them, at least 15, have records of arrests and charges that included things like stalking, threatening public officials, aggravated assault, murder, terroristic threats, murder, vandalism for defacing a memorial for victims of the Pulse nightclub massacre, as well as soliciting a 14-year-old for sex. These are the people that think that the Jewish people are ruining society. Those guys and gals, but I would assume mostly guys. Okay. So, yeah. Now, Chitwood claims that, look, my biggest concern here, he says, is that the group like GDL will radicalize an active shooter. And pointed out that this might have already happened. Because just, days after the Speedway incident, a California man had reportedly that was reportedly inspired by the GDL ended up shooting 2 Orthodox Jewish people outside of a synagogue in Los Angeles. So that's why he wants to come down hard against the neo-Nazis in his area, telling them, hey, you picked the wrong place to spread your hateful nonsense. That's a strong message. Look, he also said this, quote, I don't think they've got the guts to pull the trigger themselves, but they know there's somebody out there that will do their bidding. And look, that is, he's not wrong. He then also vowed to stamp out extremism however he could, saying that if you stand by and you don't do anything, that the violence and intimidation win. Look, we live in a time right now where neo-Nazis are not only on the march. We've seen a lot of neo-Nazi groups. Again, this group terrorizing the Daytona, Florida area. But they also serve in public office. For example, I mean, Marjorie Greene. Look, Marjorie Greene calls herself a Christian nationalist. Another name for that, of course, is Nazi. She has spoken at a white nationalist conference set up by Nick Fuentes, an infamous neo-Nazi. And again, he's not at all shy about blaming the Jews for everything. She came out also and talked about how there were space lasers,
Jewish space lasers,
that were operated by, owned by the Rothschilds that could have been causing forest fires. Now, she is also, of course, was involved in QAnon, was a big believer in QAnon, another anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that involved essentially centered around blood libel. Okay, saying that Hollywood elites and the New World Order, etc., globalists, another name for Jews, are drinking the blood of children and are paying for immigrants to replace American citizens. Marjorie Greene famously in favor of building a wall. And that's just one example, okay? Speaking of walls, speaking of Trump, of course, he has also said a lot of yikesy things about Jewish people. And so, look, again, that's the reality of this political climate where neo-Nazis are just able to come out into the open and say horrible things and put out, anti-Semitic literature and possibly inspire acts of violence against them. It doesn't take much for people who are already primed and, armed to the teeth for them to come out and do an act of violence. And so that's what this guy is rightly worried about. So that said, look, it's actually kind of surprising, based on some of the reporting that I've done before, that there's actually a police officer who's like, oh yeah, I'm actually going to turn my attention to stop the neo-Nazis instead of being part of them. Because again, we've had lists, reports of police officers who belong to these far-right groups, some of which do peddle in racism and some anti-Semitism, and have said horrible things about their communities. This guy, as far as I know, he's like, no, I don't like this stuff. Get it out of my community. Our community. We're done with this. And by the way, finally, he's not mincing words. In an interview with the Daily Beast following Monday's press conference, Chitwood had one thing to say about the group, the GDL, their leader, who's not a great person, from what I've read, as well as their grotesque beliefs. He said this, quote, "Excuse my French, but fuck you, motherfucker."
Yes! Yes!
I love it. I love it. By the way, this same sheriff, also, some of his detractors, the neo-Nazis, of course, posted up a photo where he was wearing like a green bra, right? And he posted back, and he's like, yeah, you idiots, you take this picture of me doing a fundraiser in the middle of a fundraiser for breast cancer research, and then proceeded to call them not very bright. Look, I have issues with policing in this country, and of course, I certainly have issues with a lot of cops. But this guy doesn't sound so bad.
Yes!
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to CPAC. Nazis are as bright as a box of burnt out light bulbs. True. He's what the kids call based. Apparently, he used to be a Philadelphia cop as well, and then moved down to Florida. Got elected there as sheriff. So, all right. Well, there you go. I actually like to do a positive story for once, and nothing's more positive than hating Nazis. I just hope he doesn't get milkshake ducked. Hate when that happens. All right, so let's go again to CPAC. Got a bit of a problem. Following allegations against founder Matt Schlapp, the organization behind the annual conservative conference, CPAC, is, well, reeling. They're not doing so well. Earlier this year, a staffer had alleged to have been sexually assaulted by Schlapp in Georgia while he was driving Schlapp. He was, again, Schlapp's driver, while he was working for the Herschel Walker campaign. So, yeah.
Insurrection is about the people.
Well, this time it wasn't, because there was none. Look, since then, and I remember reporting that story, so far, of course, that staffer is, again, it was Republican, trying to be up and coming in the Republican world, had not come public, right? Had not gone public with his identity, but it shared details anyway in voice recordings after the fact. So, as well as, with family and friends after it had happened. So, not only that, but that former worker has also sued Schlapp, as well as his wife, Mercedes Schlapp. Now more stories have come out about the workplace culture at CPAC. you're not going to be surprised that it's a bit toxic to work there. Of course. So now, according to a new report from the Washington Post, dozens of current and former employees and board members interviewed by the Post described a wide range of complaints about the longtime Republican power broker and CPAC's culture under his leadership. Add to that, the report notes a post review of the Walker staffers' claims also corroborated that he shared his story with friends and colleagues in the immediate aftermath. You don't really do that unless, of course, something like that had happened. Between this, of course, and the Project Veritas story, James O'Keefe, of course, ousted due to a toxic workplace culture. Turns out working for a lot of these conservative organizations kind of suck. You know, just saying. There appears to be, at least for the people at the top, a culture of
sexual anarchy.
Oops. So it's a big shocker, really, that they don't respect their employees or their personal space. Allegedly, of course. Now, let's get into more details. The Post's Beth Reinhardt and Isaac Arnsdorf wrote, some expressed concern that Schlapp has given an experienced contractor too much influence. Oh, okay, I'm curious to know the details on that. One employee, former employee, had notified the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission last month of plans to sue over claims that she was fired for retaliation. In retaliation for complaining about a coworker's sexist and racist comments. Because of course, right?
Woke mob.
No, they just must be members of the woke mob that are trying to take down CPAC. Of course, that is part of CPAC's allegations against the Washington Post for publishing this story. Again, because of course. But here's one person, again, who was suing. This is former communications director Regina Bratton explaining that the culture was toxic. From my perspective, Schlapp acted like a bully. Again, a conservative organization being racist and sexist, doing retaliation for people who complain about it? No, never in a million years would I ever have expected that. Of course, I'm lying. Of course I expect that. But seriously, though, it's actually a good thing people are coming forward because, look, whether or not they're conservative, I don't care. Nobody deserves to work under those conditions, honestly. Like, I do believe that people, should actually not have to work in toxic workplaces. It doesn't matter who you are or who you work for. And again, I joke about these organizations being, just conservatives and, that's why they treat people badly. No, that's not true. Does anybody remember, for example, Amy Klobuchar throwing staplers at people? Rahm Emanuel treating people terribly, screaming at staff, berating them, etc. Look, the fact is that this kind of situation happens everywhere, that there is a power imbalance between workers and their bosses. That's more of a problem with hierarchical systems, where employees do not have much ability to push back. I think staffers, congressional staffers, should be allowed to unionize and get together. Why not? Why shouldn't they? But anyway, look, that said, I'm not comparing those two things, by the way, Klobuchar and Emanuel, to, Matt Schlapp. Ridiculous, right? He did alleged sexual assault. Not good. Very, very bad. That's a whole nother level of being a terrible boss. No, look, the situation with the staffer, at least when it comes to Schlapp, I think personally that it suggests that he's projecting his disgust of gay people onto the world because he himself has those feelings and has been conditioned to hate himself for it. So, like, he has a deep sense of loathing over maybe some of the feelings that he feels, allegedly, again, and has used his organization, his politics, to go after people who are gay, who are open about it. Oh, you can't be open about it. If I can't be open about it and do what I want, then nobody can. And again, this situation, abuse of power, sexual assault, has nothing to do with being in the closet or potentially gay. No, it has everything to do with power dynamics. This person felt that he had allegedly the power to touch a staffer in an inappropriate manner and get away with it. That's not all right. Look, it's 2023. Being gay is fine, but sexual assault is not. It never is fine, never will be fine. Consent is king or queen. All right. Now, of course, CPAC being a conservative organization and conference, of course, whose speakers are immersed in the culture wars. Well, it turns out this allegation is not reflecting well on the organization. The report notes that some members of the CPAC board have been growing anxious at the prospect that assault allegations could irreparably damage the organization. Board member Morton Blackwell said he expected the allegation to be discussed at a board meeting at the start of CPAC and that it's impossible for it to be ignored. He also said, quote, obviously it's a serious allegation, but it's put forward anonymously, which tends to discredit it. Look, would it be nice to have the name? You know, sure. Yeah. But I can understand the reluctance, especially since you're dealing with the conservative movement, which isn't exactly known, I guess, for people who are able to have calm, level heads when, you know, someone calls out malfeasance on a powerful figure or individual. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you come out publicly. Number one, it destroys your career. I don't really care about his career in Republican politics, but certainly he wouldn't be able to make a living in Republican politics anymore. Maybe that's what he's concerned about. Maybe not. The second thing he might be more concerned about, probably death threats. I don't think there's anyone in America that hasn't gotten a death threat from a right-winger. Even other right-wingers, even conservative politicians get death threats from conservatives. So, yeah, they're pretty well known for that. And some, even small number, have acted on those. Yeah. But, again, male Republican staffer going after and alleging sexual assault from a powerful leader in the conservative movement, someone who has a lot of money, a lot of connections. And so, I mean, again, if he does end up, you know, there's the court case against the Schlapp family. A judge recently said that case could move forward. So he might get his day in court, certainly. But if he wins, and again, it's a big if, well, then what do you really win? Again, no career in conservative politics. And if Schlapp actually did so, you know, had actually assaulted him, well, then what then? I don't know if Schlapp will actually face any sort of consequences, because it doesn't seem like this is consequences of the types of things that powerful figures, rich powerful figures, generally have to deal with, you know? And if he doesn't face those consequences, what could reliably happen? Well, we can just go back and look at some of the more high-profile conservatives that have had their own scandals. They disappear for a little bit, and then they come back. They say, oh, well, I have been forgiven. I have bathed in the blood of Jesus, and Jesus has forgiven me of my sins. And then what happens is they get right back into doing what they were doing before. See, understand too, like this is partly because of the capacity for conservative forgiveness without restorative justice. They're able to do that. It's like, oh, no, we forgive you. Really? Well, that's it? Oh, yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah, we totally forgive you. As long as you're saying and doing the right things, we don't care. We forgive you. No restorative justice necessary. And that way, it's much easier to be a right-winger. Now, for some people on the left, to give you an example, you can do years of restorative justice, and sometimes it's still not enough to have that passed. Maybe somebody used to be a conservative or said something stupid. Oh, that's going to get thrown in your face for the rest of your life, essentially. Sometimes for some people, there's no amount of restorative justice that can actually absolve you. Well, maybe not absolve you, but it's not exactly looking for absolution here. But just like, okay, you've done restorative justice and now you can move on without that getting thrown back in your face. For some people, it's just not enough. And by the way, I'm not saying that the entire left, ecosystem engages in that. No, it's a very small amount of people, small group of people. And it's mainly because those small groups of people and we in the left have become so factionalized that we constantly do, circular firing squads and why we never get into power. But yeah, here though, this person is making some serious allegations with serious impacts on his life, not to mention, of course, Schlapp's life as well. So there are serious allegations, again, serious consequences. And I think for both. And so I don't blame him for wanting to stay anonymous. That said, I don't know if it's a good idea. We're going to have to find out, going forward. Now, the Post is also reporting, by the way, and this is how the organization is dealing with it. The upcoming 2023 CPAC is already feeling the effects of Schlapp's difficulties. Noting that ticket sales are lagging, I feel like there was a missed word choice there. Would it have been too much had they say that ticket sales have been limp? I'm just saying.
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. Serious subject, and here I am cracking jokes. But look, they also said that it prompted price cuts, giveaways, and special rates offered to congressional staff, according to people familiar with the event's inner workings, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss confidential information. Okay, look, overall, though, if CPAC falls apart over this, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to be upset about it, okay? CPAC is generally a collection of ghouls. Okay? But look, I do want to note that these kinds of things, notice, again, gay scandals only happen on the right. Why is that? Well, it's because the right's anti-gay. They force people into the closet all the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a gay conservative. In fact, I think it's the only thing that's actually wrong is being a conservative. Like, what are you doing? But that's just me, right? Now, this whole culture on the right of forcing people into the closet and not being, allowed to do their, to live their lives, to live their truth, like it doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're trans, if you like to, do a drag show, whatever, put on clown makeup and dance. I don't care. I don't care what you do. Okay. And you shouldn't care what they do. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, what does it matter? But again, the fact that they make it such a big part of their culture wars to be so anti-gay, anti-trans, etc. I mean, this is why you still have these, panics. Let people live their lives. Do what they want without shame. And again, as long as there's consent, which there wasn't in this alleged case, okay, and I think that's the big thing to focus on is this was unwanted groping, a sexual assault. As long as there's consent, though, everything should be okay. And you're not harming anybody. Let people live their lives. Look, conservatives would do a lot better if they just let that whole thing go. You know, like, just let people be themselves. But if they did, of course, then they wouldn't be, I guess, conservatives. Okay. On the flaccid sale, the CPAC rec insists that this is the first time that this has happened.
Yes!
Oh.
My.
Well then. Well. Very nice. Very nice. Oh.
Really?
Oh, okay. Okay. No. One more. I know I'm out of time, but I really this will take like 5 minutes. Not like the rest of the show, which for some reason I couldn't shut up, so. A Florida Republican has introduced a new bill that would ban the Democratic Party. I'm not kidding. Just ban it. So let me give you the details. Spring Hill Republican Senator Blaise Ingoglia has filed SB 1248, calling it the Ultimate Cancel Act. Again, this is funny for people, you know, who despise cancel culture. You know, cancel culture. I hate cancels. I hate cancel culture. Why would you do such things? Yeah, you know?
Woke mob.
Stop the woke mob from canceling me. Well, he's not messing around, though. This bill would literally cancel the Democratic Party using some, well, let's just say interesting reasoning. All right. So let's get to the details. SB 1248 would direct the Florida Division of Elections to immediately cancel the filings of a political party to include its registration and approved status as a political party if, and this is where the interesting reasoning comes into, if the party's platform had previously advocated for or it had been in at some point support of slavery or involuntary servitude. Oh, so there's the angle. Okay, so now look, is it true that Southern Democrats advocated for slavery? Yes, during the Civil War. That happened. That's history. You can look it up. It's in books, all that stuff. But, you know, later on, these same Southern Democrats were given the term Dixiecrats. Again, they were still Democrats. And this happened during the civil rights era. Now, then what happened? Well, after President Johnson signed the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964, okay, over the opposition of the southern states, the Dixiecrats then did what? Oh, they stopped being Democrats. They actually turned to the Republican Party. They became Republicans. So what happened is they did a party flip. All the former Southern Democrats who were racists quit the Democratic Party and joined with the Republican Party. Now, maybe this guy skipped that part of his history lesson. Maybe he took, you know, a sick day off or something and just missed it. I don't know. But either way, kind of missed that whole Southern strategy thing of which the Republican Party had admitted to doing. So, but now, of course, he goes on to explain his reasoning. For years now, leftist activists have been trying to cancel people and companies for things that they have said or done in the past. This includes the removal of statues and memorials and the renaming of buildings. Using this standard, it would be hypocritical not to cancel the Democratic Party itself for the same reason. Wait, but the Democratic Party is not defending the Confederate statues or the Confederate flag. They're saying, no, the Confederate flag it's the message here, and the statues are venerating slavery and racism. I mean, that was what the Civil War was fought over, was to keep slavery. And so when you're venerating and putting up statues of Confederate generals and displaying the battle flag in a place of veneration, you're saying that, oh no, we look up to these people. That is a place of reverence and honor. Understand that's what the statues are. Look, we don't want to remove statues because, oh, we want to erase history. No, we want people to know the actual history. Statues don't teach you history. Again, they're places of reverence and honor. You go to a statue to honor that person or that ideal. These are not just historical places. For history, we have things like museums. We have things like history books, documentaries. We have things that will put history in its proper context and will not entirely lionize one side or the other. And I know generally the saying is history is written by the victor. Sure. But I think in some cases, or in a lot of cases now, there is accurate historical portrayal of things like the Civil War. But again, in order to learn the history, you don't need a statue for that. I mean, look, you could say, well, Adolf Hitler was a pretty important historical figure. Okay, but there's a reason Germans aren't keeping or building statues of Hitler. I'm just saying, there's a reason for that. I see some pretty good reasons. Okay. Yeah. Now, look, the thing is, this guy is big mad. Mad that the kind of racist imagery that he likely prefers is getting removed. And so he's doing the same sort of gotcha tactic that conservative Facebook, users do whenever you bring up anything bad about slavery. Oh, yeah, did you know that the Democrats were the real racists? They were the party of the KKK. They're a party of slavery? Republicans. Yeah, Lincoln freed the slaves. He was a Republican. Did you know that? Oh, libs, checkmate. Yeah, you just ignored all the rest of the history that came afterwards. That's not a gotcha. Yeah, you played yourself by not knowing history and factual information. And you sound like an idiot. That's what this guy is. Idiot. Not a very smart person. Okay. Stupid. Look, this isn't new. It's not clever. But it is a really good example of how extreme and insane Florida Republicans have become under the tenure of, rule of Governor Ron DeSantis, who has, by the way, gone through and tried to erase history, ban things like teaching racism, teaching the fact that LGBTQ people exist, removing books from libraries, etc., etc. Okay? That's what's really going on in Florida. It's just absolute insanity and a hatred of real facts and history. Okay. Yep. And there it is. Whew.
The wokers.
All right. Let's see. That's wants to change library to library. To library good. I library good. To all the kids. I'm assuming that's what you meant. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Let's go to Super Chats here. Gabby Mathis, thank you for gifting a membership on YouTube. Appreciate that. And Koru, also thank you for gifting a membership. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so. And Madi Darno, thank you for wishing us a Happy New Week. Happy New Week. Happy New Week to you all as well. Thank you. All right, so let's see. Twitch, Flaco Huesos, thank you for resubbing with Prime for 11 months. A bit to the live show, but hey, great show. Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you to the Facebook audience as well for tuning in. Appreciate you all who've stuck around. Let's see. Come on, warm temperatures. Yeah, I know. It's been very snowy here lately. Like snowstormy. So not good. All right. So thank you all. Oh, really good show. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And again, appreciate you all for tuning in. Please, again, like and share the stream on your way out. I would appreciate it very, very much. All right. Well, that's it. Love you all. Have a great evening. And we will see you all back here tomorrow for the show. Everyone else, we'll read into the watch list. J.R. Jackson and his show over at TYT. So should probably be a fun show to watch. Everybody else, love you all. Thank you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
There's insanity in the control room. Who's got a hammer?
My.
Peachtree dish. Venezuela.
It's not human intelligence!
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.